Folks, it looks like we are seeing nothing less than the collapse of cancel culture as even left-wing liberals are denouncing far-left censorship. In this video, we're going to look at an open letter signed by over 150 liberals decrying the left's propensity towards cancel culture and how it represents nothing less than a free speech revolt, an uprising that promises to completely and totally overwhelm and finally defeat the forces of far-left cancel culture for good. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Wonderful to be with you as always. A warm welcome to all of our new visitors. If this is your first time with us and you're looking for some daily encouragement and optimism in the midst of all of this nonsense spewed from our left-wing Marxist media, you have found your oasis in this channel. We analyze current events, analyze some super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that subscribe button. It's been an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel where each and every day we together celebrate the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. So let's start with our video chat question of the day, shall we? Do you believe that a free speech uprising will destroy cancel culture once and for all? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Do you believe that a free speech uprising, a revolt on both the left and the right, will finally destroy cancel culture once and for all? Because we are going to take a look at how more and more liberals are finally turning against their fellow leftists and embracing the civic virtue of free speech and public debate. But first, our good friends over at Noble Gold told me that this July 4th was special. Gold is up around 16% this year, and the Dow is down around 10%. And there's never been a better time to start a gold or silver IRA in your portfolio. And to sweeten the deal, our friends over at Noble Gold, they're giving this amazing 5-ounce America the Beautiful silver bullion coin with every qualifying IRA. But this is only good for the month of July, so don't wait. Click on that link below or visit their website at noblegoldinvestments.com or give them a call at 877-646-5347. Make sure you mention my name, Dr. Steve Turley, and make July a gold and silver month. All right, gang, so let's dive right in here. Amazing stuff. Once again, it does appear that the tide is turning against the far left. Yesterday, Harper's Magazine published an open letter written and signed by a veritable who's who of liberal activists, authors, and journalists that actually denounced and decried the cancel culture of the far left. While the open letter welcomed the calls for addressing the supposed societal inequities that the protests across the country have called for, the letter in no uncertain terms denounces the rise in what they call their own brand of dogma or coercion. The letter, and again, which is, totally liberal, it has nothing good to say about Trump or the political right, but these authors do admit that what they call the, quote, free exchange of information and ideas is in fact the lifeblood of a liberal society. And that lifeblood is becoming more and more constricted. And while they, of course, as liberals expect that constriction to come from the political right, whatever that means, they recognize that perhaps its most virulent proponents are coming from their own left-wing side of the political aisle. And as a result, we're already experiencing the stifling atmosphere in our nation that will harm the most vital causes of our time. So it's very, very interesting letter. Here's a highlight from it. Quote, "The restriction of debate, whether by a repressive government or an intolerant society, invariably hurts those who lack power and makes everyone less capable of democratic participation. The way to defeat bad ideas is by exposure, argument, and persuasion, not by trying to silence or wish them away. We refuse any false choice between justice and freedom, which cannot exist without each other. As writers, we need a culture that leaves us room for experimentation, risk-taking, and even mistakes. We need to preserve the possibility of good faith disagreement without dire professional consequences. If we won't defend the very thing on which our work depends, we shouldn't expect the public or the state to defend it for us." Hear, hear. All right, very, very well written. Now, this open letter was signed by over 150 prominent liberals, such as authors J.K. Rowling, Margaret Atwood, the ultra-left Noam Chomsky, even the radical feminist activist Gloria Steinem, Fareed Zakaria of CNN, who really has just unfortunately collapsed into the sewer of leftist liberalism, but nevertheless. But one development for all this, though, was just hilarious. Actually, it was utterly ridiculous. The trans activist author Jennifer Finney Boylan was one of the signers of the open letter that called for the end of cancel culture. She was excoriated by the far left, and in turn she took to Twitter and wrote, "I did not know who else had signed that letter. I thought I was endorsing a well-meaning, if vague, message against internet shaming. I did know Chomsky, Steinem, and Atwood were in, and I thought good company. The consequences are mine to bear. I'm so sorry." So this is the hilarity of the left. She signs an open letter decrying cancel culture only to turn around and bow down to it. The irony was not lost on J.K. Rowling. She tweeted out, "You're still following me, Jennifer. Be sure to publicly repent of your association with Goody Rowling before unfollowing, and volunteer to operate the ducking stool next time as penance." Rowling's been really impressive of late. She's freaked out the transgender crowd with some of her comments regarding the existence of only two genders. I don't know if you've been following that at all. Interesting stuff. But she's been totally unrepentant. I mean, she's got her billions. What are they going to do to her, for heaven's sake? So she's completely dismissed their cancel culture attempts at her. Now, I'm very glad to see self-professed liberals coming out to the realization that they simply cannot be both liberal and supporters of cancel culture. The two represent diametrically opposite dynamics, right? We've often said this on the channel here. There is no possible way for liberals to win the online culture wars by adopting a strategy of cancel culture. It's simply impossible. The reason for that is simply because the moment liberals adopt cancel culture, they, by definition, stop being liberals. The moment liberals embrace cancel culture, they stop being liberals. Liberals claim, at least historically, that their liberalism is all about giving people the freedom to express themselves as autonomous individuals, right? It's liberalism that has, at least historically, stood for your right to express yourself, like the Madonna song says, right? To live your life the way you choose. You're not under any moral obligations apart from that which you choose for yourself. This the technical term for this is actually called lifestyle values, which is a globalist-inspired notion of maximizing an individual's sovereign choice over his or her own life experiences. And the reason why liberalism has the popularity that it does is that it at least appears to harmonize perfectly with the notion of lifestyle values that so dominates our modern globalist contemporary society. However, what do you think is going to happen when liberals and lifestyle values then begin to move in opposite directions? What do you think happens when liberals begin to appear more and more like moralistic dictators who want to deny people's choice for their own lifestyle values? What do you think people are going to make of self-professed liberals intentionally silencing and purging and banning certain programs that my lifestyle enjoys? Right? What's precisely liberal about censoring people's ideas or censoring people from the public square simply because they see him as hateful, misogynist, or bigoted or whatever? Piers Morgan recognized this. Do you remember that? He was on the Ben Shapiro show not too long ago. And he stated it straight on out that he believed that the rise of populism all over the world, but particularly in Britain with Brexit and in the States with the rise of Donald Trump, he believes that the rise of populism is a very understandable and justified reaction to the tyrannical nature of left-wing PC culture. The snowflakes, right? The cry bullies that are demanding that everything they don't like be canceled. And Piers Morgan put it brilliantly. In a word, he said basically liberals have become utterly, pathetically illiberal. And it's a massive problem. And he's absolutely right, right? I mean, he came out and said, what's the point of calling yourself a liberal if you don't allow anyone else to have a different point of view? I mean, that's called mic drop there, gang. Boom, right? What's the point of calling yourself a liberal if you don't allow anyone else to have a different view? Liberals have become intolerably illiberal. And we've made this argument on a number of occasions here on this channel, but particularly in relation to social media deplatforming and why liberals cannot possibly win the online culture wars by adopting cancel culture. Because by adopting cancel culture, liberals become illiberal by definition, and everyone sees it. They actually have to appear intolerant and repressive and tyrannical. So they've lost before they've even begun the online culture wars. Now, I have to say it's very heartening to see a number of prominent liberals recognize this. Having said that, I think this is going to be key in our current culture war. It's going to be key in terms of splitting up the left from our vantage point. Let's call the left, let's say the capital L left. So within that, you've got liberals on the one side who we can unite with in terms of their commitment to free speech and dialogue. And then on the other side, you have the left, lowercase l. I guess we could just go on the far left. This is the Antifa left, the BLM left, the radical feminist left. And what we need to be doing is encouraging this split between the two. We need to be driving a wedge between self-professed liberals on the one side and the far left cancel culture nuts on the other. That's how we're going to defeat cancel culture once and for all. We definitely need to ally ourselves with free speech liberals so as to overwhelm the politically correct cancel culture left. Now, I have to say that I think it's all a bit self-defeating. It's a self-defeating endeavor on the part of the liberal. I think getting rid of cancel culture is, in effect, getting rid of politically correct norms. It's abolishing the capacity of political correctness to define our taboos, to define the line between what we can say and what we cannot say, what we can talk about and the like. There have been a number of scholars who've recognized that political correctness is, in point of fact, the language of liberalism, which is very, very interesting if you think about it, right? The work of Sandra Jennis of King's College in London has revealed how even scientists have bought into this. She's shown how liberal scientific communities, we all know this, of course, but it's interesting to see that it's made its way into the world of scholarship, how it's recognized in this. Liberal scientific communities are highly likely to ignore or marginalize illiberal claims, that is, claims that violate the politically correct norms of liberalism. In fact, she found that scientists were highly likely to dismiss studies that called into question politically correct norms, and here's the key, regardless of the evidence of them. Scientists do indeed dismiss studies that call into question politically correct norms despite the evidence offered. So while these liberals may not be supporting cancel culture here, I do think they're inadvertently undermining the very politically correct norms that sustain their liberalism, which of course we're perfectly happy about. Go right ahead. So this is really, really good news, and I'm happy to report that there does appear to be a free speech revolt, an uprising, that promises to completely and totally overwhelm and finally defeat the forces of far-left cancel culture for good. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on Antifa terrorists and BLM activists getting arrested throughout the country as President Trump stomps on the far left. I think it's going to absolutely make your day. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.